الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى أهله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Just a brief reminder about a surah that we recite frequently. If we count just in the regular prayers that we do, the fard prayers, we recite Surat Al-Fatiha 17 times every day. So 17 times every day we are reciting Surat Al-Fatiha. And if you add up any of the sunnahs or any other extra prayers that you do, it's even more. But 17 times. And this is why it was referred to by the Prophet ﷺ in the Quran as Saba al-Mathani, the 7 most oft repeated verses. There are also hadith about the importance of Surat Al-Fatiha that the Prophet has said. He has called it the greatest surah of the Quran, the al-Quran. And in a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ narrated, "Do you want me to teach you a surah, the like of which has not been revealed in the Torah, the Injil, the Zabur, nor the Quran?" And he also asked what he recited in his prayers. He replied, al-Quran, Surat Al-Fatiha. The Prophet ﷺ proclaimed, "By him in whose dominion my soul is, nothing like it has been revealed in the Torah, the Gospel, the Psalms, or the Quran, and it is 7 of the oft-repeated verses in the mighty Quran which I have been given." At Tirmidhi. The Fatiha is also a pillar of the Salah. It's mandatory in our prayer. And the Prophet ﷺ said that your prayer is invalid or void if you do not recite Surat Al-Fatiha in it. So you have to recite Surat Al-Fatiha or listen to the Imam when he is reciting it. Without Surat Al-Fatiha, the prayer is not accepted. Surat Al-Fatiha is also a cure for disease. In a hadith about Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, some of the companions were on a journey and they halted somewhere. A girl came to us and said, "The chief of this tribe has been stung by a scorpion and our men are not present. Is there anyone amongst you who can recite something upon him to treat him?" So one of our men went along with her, although we did not think that he knew any such treatment. However, our friend went to the chief and recited something upon him, and the chief was cured. Thereupon the chief gave him 30 sheep and gave us all milk to drink. We did not know if we can accept the sheep. And so when they returned, we asked our friend, "Did you know anything to recite upon him to cure him?" And he said, "No, I only recited al-Kitab, Surat Al-Fatiha." We did not do anything with the sheep until we reached Medina, and we asked the Prophet regarding this practice of whether the sheep were lawful or not for us. When we narrated this to the Prophet ﷺ, he remarked, "How did he come to know that Al-Fatiha can be used as a cure?" Because no one had told him, it had not been revealed to him that it can be used for this purpose. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Distribute your reward amongst yourselves and give me a share of the sheep as well." So he was confirming that what the Sahabi did was correct and that it was okay to take this reward for what he had done. So it can be recited for illness on the person or on yourself as a cure. Another hadith, Ibn Abbas narrated, while Jibreel was with the Prophet ﷺ, he heard a noise from above. Jibreel lifted his sight to the sky and said, "This is a door in the heavens being opened, and it has never been opened before now." An angel descended from that door and came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, "Receive the glad tidings of 2 lights that you have been given, which no other prophet before you was given. The opening of the book Al-Fatiha and the last verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. You will not read a letter of them except that you will gain its benefit." In Sahih Muslim. So here another hadith showing the significance of Surah Al-Fatiha, as well as the last ayahs of Surah Al-Baqarah, how important they were when they were revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. And then lastly, in a hadith Qudsi, just pull it up here. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu heard the Prophet ﷺ declare that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I have divided the prayer into two halves between me and my servant will receive what he asks. When the servant says, praise be to Allah, the Lord of the universe, Allah the Most High says, my servant has praised me. And when the servant says, the most compassionate, the merciful, Allah Most High says, my servant has lauded me. And when the servant says, Master of the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, my servant has glorified me and has entrusted his affairs to me. And when the worshipper says, you alone we worship and you alone we ask help, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is between me and my servant will receive what he asks for. And then when he, the worshipper, says, guide us along the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, not those you are displeased with or those who are astray, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is for my servant and my servant will receive what he asks for. So this is a conversation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has with us every time we recite Suret Al-Fatiha. Every ayah he is responding to us as we say it. And in the end he's saying, this is for my servant and my servant will receive what he asks for. May Allah give us the hidayah of Surat Al-Fatiha and the ability to recite it often and to help Muslims around the world to learn this surah well and to recite it wherever they may be and to help them in their need. Jazakumullah khair.